Hi, I'm TJ with E-TransControl, and I want to tell you a bit about our TCM440 controller. This is one of our newer controllers for the Dodge 42 through 48 RE series. In the box we ship, in this nice white box, you get your control module. It comes as a complete kit with a 2-inch LED display showing gear and a torque converter lockup. Also, we include our custom-built rocker box for shifting the gears. Now, this control module is built after our Manumatic, which took that same principle and developed a Dodge version, or Mopar version here, for the 4-speed automatics, again 42 through 48 REs. But it also can be used with an RH transmission to control just the overdrive and torque converter lockup. Controller has inputs here for the rocker box, has a single plug for the 2-inch display, just snaps in, it's a telco type connector. Here we have the connector that plugs in for the transmission wiring harness, which is included. In the bottom of the box you will find 6 feet of TXL automotive grade high temp wire with an automotive grade loom as well. Now the transmission connector again just plugs right directly to it. As with all of our other control modules, we do what we call a cut wire harness, and we've illustrated and explained this in other videos that we've made. But this simplifies getting this harness through a firewall or floor pan of your vehicle without cutting a large hole. If we had the connectors all hooked up to it, you would need a larger hole. With this cut wire, you can run a much smaller hole and a rubber grommet to keep and protect the loom and wire. So we're going to power this thing up so you can see what goes on here. But first, let's hook up the rocker box. So we'll need a little small pocket screwdriver, which I hope everybody has one. If not, they're very inexpensive. You've got essentially 5 wires is all they are for the rocker box. Now wait a minute. This is one of the most important things, instructions. So with every one of our controllers, we include full color printed instructions that explain setup and wiring. So here we have the photo of the control module with the bus showing numerical value from left to right when you're looking at the terminal strip. And here we tell you what each number is used for on the terminal strip. Each terminal has a number value and its purpose. So we can see the ground goes on number 10. So we're going to put this black wire, which is always ground for us, at number 10. Put it here. Now we're just going to snug this in, not too tight. You over tighten these little screws, they will strip out. But I always like to give it a little tug just to make certain that it's in place. So I'm going to look and see, start from the other end. The torque converter engage, which is orange or tan. In this case it's a tan, kind of almost a brown, goes in number 1. So we're going to insert it in number 1. Next wire would be the downshift, which is a green wire. It's going to go in number 2. So here's our green wire. We're going to put it in number 2. And next in line there is going to be the upshift, the blue wire. And last but not least, we've got a white wire here, which is the, let's see here, what do we have? The setting button. Ah, so it's number 5. Because on here we have a button to do settings for the second gear lockup, or second gear engage, sorry about that. And we have other inputs on this. So like number 4 would be for a brake switch disengage of the torque converter clutch. What this is, you can hook a momentary switch coming off your brake pedal, not the brake light circuit, which would feed 12 volts back to this control module and possibly burn that input out because it is a logic input. We suggest either a micro switch type switch that's momentary, maybe with a little bracket, or you can use a older cruise control button that's designed to go with the brake pedal. As long as it's a standalone isolated switch, it only applies a ground to this terminal when it's engaged. What will happen is if you're driving down the road, you've got your torque converter engaged, the clutch locked, and you come into a situation where it's an emergency situation, somebody slams on their brakes, you want to be able to disengage that torque converter so you can slow your vehicle down. So hitting the brake is the first thing we all do, right, if we come into an emergency situation. So we definitely want that brake switch connected if possible, if this is a street-driven vehicle. If this vehicle is off-road, it's really not necessary, but it is a safety feature. So we're going to move on, and now that we've got our rocker box connected, we're going to simply plug this in, which is our 2-inch gauge. It just snaps there. Now we have this extra wire from the transmission harness plug. The yellow wire is our feed back from the temperature sensor inside the transmission valve body, measuring the temperature of the transmission fluid. So on this model we actually have an input for that, and it's number 7. So we're going to go here to number 7 terminal. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to put this in there and go ahead right away and tighten that guy up. Yeah, so now we're all connected up there, and I've got power and ground wire, which are very critical. Black, again, is always ground for us. So I know other companies have used black for other things, signal wires, sensor wires, and different things with stripes and that sort of stuff. But anything we provide that's got a black wire, you can rest assured that it's a ground wire, a ground feed for something. The pink wire we use as primary power for the control module. So this pink wire is providing power to the control module, but also downstream to the transmission through this red wire. And we have a 1 mono plug here that feeds that power down to the transmission. So what we would do once we've got everything else connected up, this would just snap in there. Now that we've powered that, or attached that, we're going to we've got a power supply here. We're going to simulate it being in a vehicle. The ground always hook up first. So if there's any static discharges, you can short it out to ground. And then we've got a positive feed here. And we've got a 12-volt power supply here that we're going to power this thing up. And if all is good, we should see a number 1 on the screen. And we've got a couple of little LEDs that kind of simulate the governor pressure. So everything's hooked up. It seems to be functioning, but let's test it and see. Again, this is a full manual controller. There is no automatic shifting function on this. This is as if you've pulled the valve body out of your vehicle, put in a full manual valve body, and you have to shift the gears to get it to go from first to second, second to third, that sort of stuff. You still need the mechanical shifter for park, reverse, neutral, and drive. Now once you're in drive, you've cranked your vehicle in park, you put it in reverse, you've backed up whatever you need to do there, you put it in drive, and now you're looking at the control module. You're in first gear, and that's where you're going to start off. You start rolling, you say, wow, okay, my RPM's going up, I want to shift gears. That's where the rocker box comes in. So with the rocker box, we can click the rocker switch, and that should take us to second gear. And with this transmission, you can actually lock the torque converter in second, third, or fourth gear. And we provide that same feature as if it were from the factory. So the yellow button is your torque converter clutch control. So if we hit this yellow button, we should get a yellow LED here on the screen, indicating that our torque converter clutch is locked. Now, if we're cruising along in second gear, we're 35 miles an hour, let's say, and it's got the converter clutch locked, we're pulling a trailer or something. It's time to upshift. So we're going to hit the switch, and what's going to happen is it's going to unlock the torque converter, shift to third gear. Now, if we're going to maintain third gear or want to relock the torque converter, we can do so with the button again. But it always unlocks the torque converter when you shift the gear automatically. So you can see there it's relocked. We're going to shift up to fourth gear. And again, it's unlocked it. And again, if we want to lock the torque converter, we can hit the button and lock it. Now this button also will unlock it. So let's say you're cruising along, you hit a hill, you need to unlock, you hit the button again, it will unlock it. It's a momentary button that engages and disengages the torque converter clutch. So we're rolling up to a stop sign. We need to start slowing down, so we need to downshift. Well, what do? We hit our rocker box. We start shifting down. And you can see there we've gone from fourth to third to second to first gear again. And that's all there is to it. It's a simple rock the switch back and forth, the upshift and downshift. And the rocker box is designed to be either mounted at a console or wherever that's convenient, so you can actually shift the gears. We give you an adjustable mount here that can be removed. You can also use momentary switches of any kind. This is nothing but momentary switches inside here that ground the inputs to this controller. So if you have buttons on your steering wheel, paddle shifter, anything like that, we also make an adapter for the B&M Mega Shifter line that can be utilized with this product as well. If you're using the B&M Mega Shifter, it's a ratchet style shifter that will give the signals to shift the gears also. But again, this is a simple, inexpensive way for us to get you fully control of your transmission in one complete package. So now we're in first gear, and we've just started up, but we've done our first initial road test. And for some reason, second gear is not engaging. So in order to adjust the engagement for second gear, we've got a little button here. And what it's going to do, it's going to flash a 7 on the screen. Then it's going to show you where the setting's at now. We always default them to 5. The 5 is the middle of the road setting, we call it. So if it's not upshifting correctly, you can adjust this by simply clicking now your up or down shift. So I've gone to a 6. So I'm going to leave it there. And I'm going to hit the button again, which the second setting shows an 8, and it goes back to a 5. Now the second setting is for temperature compensation. So we're reading the temperature sensor. If you live in a cold climate and you need the transmission to shift sooner in the cold weather during the winter, from first to second, because they always shift slower, hold out longer, then you can adjust the temperature compensation there, and that will help to improve that. Again, the temperature compensation I only recommend adjusting if necessary in a colder climate, and especially like during winter. So once I've done my adjustments, I'm going to hit that button again, and it's going to take me back, showing the first gear, and back to the run mode. And if I'm in the settings mode, the controller's only doing the settings and not adjusting the gear selection. So, but now I'm ready to go, and I can again click up, shift to second gear, third gear, lock the converter, and so on and so forth. So a very simple, straightforward controller for a Dodge 42RE through the 48RE 4-speed automatics. In the control manual, the wiring manual, we show connections at the transmission with the transmission plug here. The wire colors we match as closely as possible to the factory Dodge connector. The colors are very similar. And we illustrate here showing the actual number on the connector. So 1 through 8 of the 8-pin round connector that the Dodge uses on these connectors at the transmission. We explain what each number is, or what each pin is inside the transmission, what's functioning, and the color on our controller that's used to match up to it. So pretty straightforward. If you have questions or need help, you can always call us. We're happy to help. On the back, we tell you again what the terminals on the inputs are for. Here we show the white wire with the pressure setting at number 5, and the yellow wire for the temperature sensor at number 7. And that's pretty much it. We, again, we really appreciate your business and love to hear feedback from you and how much you like the product. Thanks again.